You wouldn't even think it was snowing outside. What is going on, YouTube? How are you guys doing today? It is a little chilly out in Pennsylvania, but it's not gonna stop us. We got a house garage to work in now. Usually we're outside working on projects for this thing because the shop is still in the works. I mean, it's just a matter of making it happen. You gotta sell the product, help people out, provide a service that people love, enjoy, come back to, and build the business. So that's pretty much what been doing full time. So like I said, we're headed out to his house, his garage. We're going to do a common repair, I guess you could say. It happens to everyone on those trucks. It's kind of like the LB7 and the injectors. Like when the injectors go out, you know it's coming at some point. So you know this problem's going to come at some point to your Duramax. This one actually already had it done. The previous owner did it, my LB7. The next owner took care of it. So let's get over to Jordan's and then show you guys what we're doing. And this thing just entered airplane mode, so I gotta give you a sound clip of that. But what just happened was the vane position. So this right here went from, it was idling around like 25% sorta, and it goes up to about 95. So 100% would be completely closed vanes. 0% is basically like a deep rumble idle. So if you do order tunes, it says do you want hiss or rumble. Hiss means basically just it's closed vanes that idle. Whoops. And then the rumble idle just means that your vanes are going to be around like 20% when it's idling. And a lot of people ask, what causes the hissing? Like, what causes this big whistle noise? It is the VGT turbo, variable geometry turbo. And that, like I said, just closes the vanes, which creates restriction. Restriction creates heat, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make heat. And then listen to that thing scream. You can't tell me when you're driving down the road, that just doesn't look awesome coming at you. Every time I look at the front end of this truck, I'm like, man, I'm glad I did those mirrors with the amber strips in the side there. It just really brings the whole entire truck together. Granted, they are extremely dirty right now, but these were built by Legends Off-Road. We did the strips in there. I wired them up. There's a video on that if you do want to see how to install these things. Right up here's a link to that video. You can go ahead and check it out. The full installation, wiring, and everything. We have arrived here. We got Jordan already ripping into this thing. And fuel did go everywhere, but here's the issue. I didn't even address this yet. The problem is right down in here, and what happens is these filter housings over time, the gaskets end up leaking. And when they do, this does not hold prime. So this is your primer bulb, and this is the fuel filter head assembly right here. And this primer bulb should be hard at all times unless you just change the filter, and that's what it's for. After you change the filter, you push this bulb up and down. I won't do it because fuel will go everywhere. But you push it up and down, and that pushes fuel back through the system. And that way the injection pump over there can be fed off of that. Now the issue is the O-rings in here over time, they get old, they're soaked in diesel, and they end up basically just kind of dry rotting, and the truck loses prime. So when the truck loses prime, you have the issue where you go to start it and it just cranks and cranks and cranks. It comes at the most random times you least expect it. And all of a sudden you just hop in your truck. The first time it happened to me, I changed my oil. So I thought for some reason, I'm like, how did this oil change affect the truck? But that is what happened. The filter head just happened to go bad at that point in time. It lost prime. And if it does happen to you and you're stranded in the middle of nowhere, just hop out there, pop the hood, prime this thing a few times, jump back in the truck over there, and then start the thing up. So what we're going to do is get this filter head torn off of there. And the parts to fix that are right here. So literally just a simple few O-rings inside of there. And then this was, I think, about $20. Got it from Merchant Automotive. So we'll go ahead and get the filter housing out and get these things installed. Here's the filter head assembly off of the truck. Now this truck, Jordan did convert it already to the Cat 1R 0750 filter. So I do offer these kits too. You can just check out the link in the description below. And it comes with this little spacer plate right here, and it pushes this whole filter housing away from the engine. So that way you can get your hands when you're in here trying to change the filter. It pushes the whole housing this way. So that way your hands aren't coming up against the engine and all that. It makes it just a little bit easier. You can also run the 0749 filter if you have this plate right here. Comes with a bleeder screw as well, because these on the Duramax are very, very common to break, because for some reason GM thought it was a good idea to go ahead and make them plastic. So once you use it a couple times, it gets real brittle and fails, and then you can't start the truck. So three things there: the spacer, the adapter, and the actual bleeder screw itself in the description below. Right now we're taking off the plunger assembly, which is essentially the primer bulb. That one holds the ground, and that little harness there is what heats the fuel. So that is the fuel heater there. Now Jordan's just gonna go ahead and take off the actual primer. That bottom piece he's taking the screws out of is the fuel filter heating whole unit there. So kind of just push out of the top to get that to pop down through. Now that everything's disassembled here, I can go over what O-rings go where. So this little guy right here slides down into this crevice. That's the first one. The second one, this one, is right where that primer bulb was. So you can see the bottom of it right there. That's going to be replaced. The third one be this guy that sat right inside of here from the factory. It's actually going to be this color here. We already took it out. It just kind of sat down in there like that. So that comes out, and then there's one for your bleeder screw as well to replace. And finally, these two will go on to the sort of, I don't know what you call this, the primer assembly, and they just kind of sit onto those ribs. There's two of them there. One thing to make note of when building this plunger assembly, I guess you could call it, is these O-rings have like a groove in them. One side is basically kind of like a cup, and these are directional, so the bottom one is going to face with a groove at the bottom. So you see that groove, that's going to face down. Now the one for the top portion here is going to face upward, so that groove will be pointing up towards the sky when this thing is laying down. And the bottom one, that groove points towards the bottom. So we're going to get all this buttoned up, get the new ones replaced in there, and then after that, we'll pretty much get this thing assembled and back onto the truck. Got the assembly all reassembled now. That whole heating unit in the bottom is reassembled. Basically just a couple of those bolts hold that in, a couple screws hold that in there. And the way to kind of test if this thing's working, first off, it should be nice and smooth. You are supposed to use some oil on all those O-rings, as with anything, even with putting the filter on there, to make sure everything slides nice and easy, doesn't bind up or anything like that. But when you push this down, you should be able to put your finger on this port right here, which is the inlet, and it should kind of, you should feel suction on it, so that way you know everything's tight in here. This primer bulb is basically doing its job, because the fuel comes in through here and then comes out of this one. If you forget, you can just look at the arrows that they put on the head for you. So we're going to get the cat adapter screwed on here. Literally, you just screw it on, and then the filter goes right on top of it. Install our spacer plate, get our two lines back on, clamp those on there, and that'll be a job done. So that's literally as simple as it is. You screw the filter and sandwich the adapter in there, so it goes filter housing, adapter, filter, and you're done. So with that being done, the filter on there, the filter housing rebuilt, all that taken care of, that pretty much concludes this video. Super simple, but this happens, like I said, to just about every single Duramax out there at some point in time. At least the cat eye style body trucks here. Like the LB7 has the injector problems, every Duramax is going to have that filter head housing issue. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you did get information from this, you enjoyed the video, found it useful, give it a big thumbs up, helps the channel out a ton. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks again, and see you on the next video.